Wishart, South Carolina senator, and he came in with the Opportunity Zone concept, and I think it was the best economic development ever done for the black community and beyond. So it was really great. It was great. But I'm honored to be in Detroit at the 180 Church, 180. Just met your pastor, your great pastor, Lorenzo Sewell, for hosting us. I want to thank Lorenzo for hosting us and for all the work he's done to serve the people of this community. I hear he's phenomenal. Where's Lorenzo? Where is Lorenzo? What a good job you've done, Lorenzo. Be my pastor any day. I need it, too. I need it. Thank you, Lorenzo. Also, we have a great group of patriots. As you know, Byron Donalds is an incredible guy. Incredible guy. And I noticed he happens to be on the list of potential vice presidents. Would anybody like to see him as a vice president? I noticed your name is very high on the list. That's good. You should be on the list, too. Congressman John James, my friend. He is something special. Thank you, John, very much. Great job you're doing, too, by the way. And I heard you have no trouble. You're going to just breeze right through it, and you should, because you've done a fantastic job. Former secretary and my really good friend for a long time, Ben Carson, Dr. Ben Carson. There's that man. He worked very hard. No scandal. No, everybody that had this scandal. There was no scandal with Ben. 4 years, it was perfect. He did a great job, and we love Ben. Special person, and Candy, the whole family. Thank you, Ben, for being here. Appreciate it. A man who has the mojo. He's going to be a very great senator and taking off like a rocket. He's leading in all the polls, and he's going to be something very, very special. Mike Rogers. Mike, thank you very much. And Mrs. Rogers, thank you for being here. So nice to meet you. Yeah, that was an easy endorsement for me. That was a real easy one, but he's got what it takes. And he'll be one of the most formidable senators, and I think he's going to do a phenomenal job bringing money back to your district, bringing jobs back to your district. He's a big believer in that. A person who's endorsed us and who's been fantastic. He's run for office. He could have won for a lot of offices if he want, but he loved being a police chief. It's James Craig. Where is James? James Craig. Wonderful guy, and thank you for the support, James. I really do appreciate it. And Michigan GOP chair, a friend of mine also, an incredible politician at the time, and he left. He didn't lose. He left after a while, and he went on to big things, including being an ambassador. And he's the one guy I wanted to head up the GOP here because we think we're going to win this state. We're leading right now by a lot, and we think we're going to win it. Pete Hoekstra. Thank you. Thank you, Pete. So it's an honor to be here. It's a very important area for us. We've done more for, and I say this, I say it proudly, more for the black population than any president since Abraham Lincoln. That's a big statement. And crooked Joe Biden has done nothing for you except talk. It's only talk. It's all talk. He gets nothing. He gets nothing for anyone who was lost. He's in Europe. He's walking around. He doesn't know where the hell he is, and he's supposed to help Detroit. I don't think so. But we achieved the lowest African-American unemployment rate and the lowest African-American poverty rate ever recorded during my 4 years. We lifted 6.6 million people out of poverty. Black Americans saw their largest increase in home ownership on record. There's never been anything like it. This is during our period of time. We gave record funding to historically black colleges and universities. You all know that, and got great support. And I will just tell you a quick story. The heads of the colleges would come to Washington once every year, and after 2 years, I said, why do you guys keep coming? And I liked them. I liked a couple of them. Really, they're friends of mine. But the whole group was very They were just terrific people, men and women heading up the colleges. And I said, why do you keep coming? Because they won't give us long-term financing. We have to come back every year. One said, and I say respectfully, he said, they make us feel like a bunch of beggars. We have to come back to Washington every year. I said, well, we're going to take care of that. And I got them actually more money than they asked for by far, and we got them long-term financing. And I said, the only thing sad is that I'll never see you again, probably. I will never meet you again, because we got used to meeting. I kept saying, and then after a couple of years, I said, why do you have to keep coming back? I mean, he said, we've been doing this for a long time, for 20 years, I guess. The one gentleman said he was here 20 years. He's been doing it for 20 years. I said, that's not right. And they do a very important job and a great job. And so I got you long-term financing, and I think all of them are voting for Trump. I don't know. I can't say maybe, but I'd say 99% of them. And if they aren't, I don't know what the hell the other side did, but we'll start an investigation or something, okay? We passed historic criminal justice reform, something that they've been after, people have been after for mostly the black community for years and years. And to get it done, they needed me. And as you know, President Obama tried. Biden doesn't even try. Well, he doesn't have to, because we got it done, but we're going to get it improved. But President Obama tried, was unable to get it done. You needed conservative votes, and I got conservative votes, and we got criminal justice reform done. Nobody else could have done that. And we're very proud of it. When I left office, we had no inflation. Gasoline was less than $2. The 30-year mortgage was at 2.6%. The border was secure. Wages were rising, and the jobs were the best in the history of our country. For African American, for black Americans, the jobs were the best in the history of our country. Other than that, what did I do? Not that much. Not that much. Now watch, the press will put that on. I didn't do that much, because they're bad people. You know, they're bad. That's why they're the fake news. You have the same problem that I do. They're fake news. So Biden, on the other hand, Biden wrote the devastating 1994 crime bill, talking about super predators. That was Biden. You know, he walks around now talking about the black vote. He's the king of the super predators. And he wrote the 1994 crime bill that you talk about so much. I guess everybody here knows about that, especially if you happen to be black. And he was the one with the super predators. So just please remember that when you think you're going to vote Democrat, because you shouldn't vote Democrat. Biden's inflation. Thank you. That's a big deal, too, because, you know, he tries to pretend like, oh, you know, nothing happened, nothing happened. He was the one. Biden's inflation has cost a typical American family $28,000. Millions of illegal aliens are pouring in, and they're taking your jobs. The black community is being hurt more by the illegal aliens, 16, 17 million. They're taking your jobs. You're down 6-7% from where you were just 3 years ago with me. And it's going much lower because millions and millions of people are coming into your communities. It's no longer every state is a border state. You've heard that. But they're coming into your community and they're taking your job. They're affecting the African Americans, and then after that, the Hispanic Americans more than any other group. And they're also affecting unions, because unions are starting to lose their grip because of it. They've never seen it. We're being inundated. Think of it. Millions of people are coming in from prisons, from mental institutions. They're terrorists at levels that we have never seen before. And in 2019, we had a survey done. How many terrorists were coming in? That was a Trump year, 2019. They said none. Now, I don't even believe that. I think that's too good. I wish the fake news wasn't fake then, but it was done by Border Patrol, etc. And they said no terrorists came in 2019. I can't believe that. But as soon as they took over, they have thousands of terrorists coming into our country. And we're all going to be hearing about that. We have to get them out. One of the first things we're doing is we're getting them out, right? They're coming in at levels never seen before. I say that by the time we get him out, and again, he's the worst president in the history of our country. Yeah. And you know what? He's been the worst president for black people. He's been the worst president for Hispanic people. There's never been anybody so bad. And remember what I said about the crime bill. Under Biden, real wages for African-American workers are down 6%. That's the biggest decrease ever in a short period of time. You're down 6% since he took over. 100% of the net jobs created under Biden have gone to the illegals. Did you know that? 100% of the jobs created have gone to illegals. And then you're supposed to vote for this guy, and he doesn't know the difference. You're not talking about him. You're talking about people that control him. Fascists, communists, people that want to see our country destroyed. So I'm going to quickly rebuild the greatest economy in history. We had the greatest economy in history. We're going to stop inflation. And remember, even if you were making the same thing as you were made, you were losing a fortune, because with food prices and with all of the prices of interest rates, which went so high, and you can't get money, but with interest rates, housing costs, rent costs, all of the different costs, you're talking about 30, 40, and even 50%, depending on what items you want to use. And people were making, if you're making the same amount of money, even if you made more, you're way behind the 8 ball. And people that actually, somebody said, gee, I've been treated nicely, I got wage increases, but I'm losing a fortune compared to when Trump was running things. We had almost no inflation, and they had inflation of a number, the real number, if you really get into the real number, it's probably 40 or 50% when you add things up, when you don't just put in the numbers that they want to hear. Look at just the cost of energy. I'm going to save the auto industry. Instead, we're going to be building all cars, not just electric cars. It's ridiculous. They don't go far. And they're fine. Some people might want them. And we're going to rebuild Detroit. We're going to get the car companies. Under Biden, you're not going to have any more car business, and whoever Sean Fain is, he's the head of the union. I can tell you the United Auto Workers are voting for Trump. This guy went along with this ridiculous concept of switching over to all electric cars. They're all going to be made in China. They're very expensive, and they don't go far. They don't go far. So we're going to end that on day one. We're going to end that mandate. And if you want an electric car, you'll absolutely get it. But you'll get gasoline and you'll get hybrids. You'll get whatever it is. And we'll make sure that it's done. We're going to seal the border, and we're going to stop the invasion of your jobs and the invasion of our country. It's an invasion of your jobs. They are taking away your jobs when they pour in. And it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. They're taking away your jobs. We'll bring back public safety and defend our communities for law-abiding American citizens. We need, look, the crime is most rampant right here and in African-American communities. And more people see me and they say, sir, we want protection. We want police to protect us. We don't want to get robbed and mugged and beat up or killed because we want to walk across the street to buy a loaf of bread. They want it so badly. The fake news doesn't talk about it. But the black population wants law enforcement more than any other population. So I think it's an important thing to say. And I'll keep the radical left-wing gender ideology away from our youth. Gender ideology. Wow. You know, it's an amazing thing. Every time I say that, it gets that kind of an audience. From all groups, from all communities. It's incredible how that continues. Like, I will keep men out of women's sports. People say, that's another thing. Well, just to step it up, we will close the borders. They will be closed tight like they were, and only people will come into our country. They have to come in legally. They have to come in legally. And we'll also support, which is very important for your community, universal school choice. It's so important. So with all of that, with all of that, I want to just say that it's Carlos and everybody. It's been an honor to be here. It's an incredible place. I have a lot of friends here, and we're going to do things. We're going to bring back the auto industry. The best thing we can do is bring back the auto industry. If you look at what Biden's done, you know, we got rid of NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made, and we did the USMCA, that's Mexico, Canada, the best trade deal they say ever made in this country. Actually, the trade deal I made with China was just as good or better, but I don't talk about it because of the COVID, what they brought upon, the China virus. Has anyone ever heard of the China virus? We want to be as accurate as possible. But we made great trade deals, but USMCA gave us something that was very special. And if you look right now, they're building massive auto plants in Mexico, and they think they're going to build automobiles, and they're going to send them into our country and get rid of all your jobs in Michigan and get rid of all your jobs all over the country, your auto jobs. They're building the biggest auto plants anywhere in the world right now in Mexico, fairly close to the border. And let me tell you, those cars aren't coming into this country unless they pay a massive tariff, because we want those plants built in our country, not in that country. We're going to bring back the auto industry to Michigan. We're bringing it back to Michigan. We're going to bring back the auto, and I can tell you from our senator, we will work on that together, but we're going to bring back the auto country. It's going to be called Auto Country again, because you've lost over the years, you've lost more than 50% of the automobile making capacity. And I think the number's even much higher than that. It used to be the only place, and now it's almost, it didn't go down with me, by the way. We did very well. We kept them out with tariffs and other things, but we're going to do something that's going to really bring back massive auto manufacturing to the state of Michigan, and we're going to create jobs like you've never seen. And I just want to thank everybody. And Pastor, I want to thank you. This is a nice church, by the way, very nice. I'll come here some Sunday with you, okay? I'll listen to a real sermon, right? I'm going to enjoy that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, darling.
Hey, Mr. President, look,
thank you.
Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, look at him right there.
Thank you.
You see him? You see him?
Oh, is he a good-looking guy? Look at him. Wow, he's a beauty.
Well, Mr. President,
thank you very much,
we have a lot of great community leaders here. Again, thank everybody for being here. I want to turn to Tasha Dotson. Tasha, tell us about your story and what's going on here. You're a mother, you're a grandmother. Tell us what's going on in Detroit.
I have a convenience store on the east side of Detroit. I didn't go there with the idea, but it was in a store in my neighborhood, the neighborhood that my store is. So I just decided to do something for the community there and put something there that can be in use. I've just purchased me a building that I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with that. Some towards the community. I like to give back to the community. I love the things that you talk about, Trump. I believe that I know you're a stand-up man, and I know you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And I'm rooting for you.
Thank you. Good job.
I want to move real quickly. So, Carlos, you're a veteran of our military. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You served and you worked in the postal service for 30 years, and you're also a boxing coach. 24 years. I might need to learn something from you.
Come on down.
All right.
Yes,
so, tell us how you're viewing our country right now, and do you have a question for the president?
Yes, I look at how Joe Biden became the president and allowed Afghanistan to collapse and allowed our soldiers to die it angers me. And we had a president who loved our soldiers, and we need to put our president back in office. And I just want to know, President Trump, Please don't allow our soldiers to walk around wearing red high-heel shoes.
Thank you, Carlos. He does have a point. You know, one thing I'll say, as Carlos knows better than anybody, we defeated ISIS 100%. They told me it would take 5 years. They told me it would take 5 years, and we did it literally in 5 weeks. We did it quickly. And I will tell you, our soldiers, other than the people on the top that you see on television, and some of them are really just weak and pathetic and bad, the way they got out of Afghanistan, getting out was fine. We were going to get out with dignity and strength. We weren't going to leave people behind, and we weren't going to leave equipment behind. Think of it, $85 billion worth of brand new equipment we left, and they're one of the largest sellers right now of military equipment in the world. They left 70,000 trucks, many of them armor-plated, 700,000 rifles. I don't know why we had so much equipment over there, but they had it, they bought it, and we left it. Brand new stuff, goggles, night goggles where they can see perfectly, so now the Taliban can fight at night. But you know that, we left it over there. I will say, though, we defeated the ISIS caliphate, and our soldiers are real soldiers. They're not going woke. Nobody's going to talk them into going woke. Those guys did their job, and you're so right. Thank you, Carlos.
No, thank you so much, Carlos. Mr. President, we have a couple people who have been doing their work in business, restaurants. We have an executive chef with us. Now, he says his steak is excellent. And apparently a bunch of the staff, when they've been here in Detroit, has eaten at his restaurant, and they all come back with rave reviews. But Omar, tell us about all the work you've done here in Detroit, how you came up in Detroit, and then whatever question you have for the president, please.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And thank you, Detroit, for supporting us. Yeah. President Trump, welcome to Detroit.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Omar. Great.
I'm excited to be here with you today, President Trump. I'm a restaurateur and executive chef at Table Number 2 Restaurant, downtown Detroit. We are on our way of being a Michelin star restaurant with the help of God and yourself. I'm successful now, but I started out born and raised on the east side of Detroit in the urban community. I give credit to the urban community because without them, it would never have been me. I grew up teaching young kids to push, dream big, work hard. I want our kids today to be dreamers, bigger, so they can achieve more like I did, and even more. What will your administration do to ensure young children are given the opportunities and challenges to keep growing? That's my question, but I also want to point out publicly on record that when you were in office, Mr. President Trump, the African-American community, the Latino community, the Arabic community, we all soared. The money was pumping when you were in office. As a restaurant operator, I'm telling you that the money was pumping. Yeah. And the money's not pumping now, and we need to get back to that because it's ruining our economy.
Right. Well, as you know better than anybody, Omar, the money was not a problem 4 years ago. The banks were lending, and they were lending at very low rates, and now you can't get money at 10 and 11 and 12%. You can't get any money, especially for a small business. It's almost impossible. We're going to save our country. The most important thing we have to save, when you see Russian ships floating essentially off the coast of Miami, I mean, if you think off the coast of Florida, how did that happen? And the fake news, look at all of them back there. The fake news doesn't even want to talk about it because it makes Biden. Putin would not be doing that if I were president. And I had a very good relationship, but I had a tough relationship. You know, I ended the pipeline going all over Europe, the Russian pipeline called Nord Stream 2. He wouldn't be doing it. And I will tell you, the most important thing we have to do, we have to save our country because our country is in trouble. We have a chance, a real chance at World War III. And, you know, we have less than 5 months now. Actual voting starts in North Carolina. If you take a look, that's going to be on the 6th of September. 22nd of September is Pennsylvania. So it's not even November 5th, which will go down as the most important day, most important election, but the most important day in the history of our country. It's going to. Two things. I'm going to stop at your restaurant the next time, and you're going to give me the greatest lunch you've ever served, because I heard you do great steak.
Thank you.
So we'll do that.
Thank you.
Okay? And the other thing, tell your waiters and waitresses and anybody else getting tips, because there are a lot of people get tips, car attendants and caddies, and a lot of different people get tips. We are not going to tax tips. The tax immediately is coming off because, as you know, the government under Biden just passed new regulations to really go after these people, and they're at a level like nobody's ever seen. It's like jail time stuff.
Absolutely.
To go after your waiters and your waitresses and other people getting tips. So anybody getting tips, because there are certain tip industries. The car business has a lot of tipping going on. We are not going to be taxing tips. It's going to end immediately. So thank you, Omar. Great
It's a
job.
pleasure. Thank
We'll
you.
see you at your restaurant.
I'm sorry?
We'll see you at the restaurant.
Absolutely. I'll be there waiting.
Thank you, Omar.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it.
I'm going to have to join you, Omar. I'm going to have to come for that dinner. I just,
We
a
got
good,
members
listen,
of
when you get
everyone.
a good meal, you got to take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm looking for.
You're coming with me.
So I'm going to go down to the end of the table. Now, Mr. President, this gentleman at the end of the table, look at that hat. That hat is phenomenal. I was talking about it earlier before I came out.
Looks good.
Thank you. Looks good. So Mario has, and I don't want to take away your story, brother, but Mario has done tremendous things in rebuilding his life. And I want Mario to talk about all the things he's done, he's been through, and whatever question he has for you.
Okay. Well, first, just to say I'm happy to be here. I wouldn't be anywhere else today.
Thank you.
I had some issues early in my life, you know, young black man in the city. I got incarcerated, and it just so happened to be under the Joe Biden's 1994
That's right.
crime bill.
That's right.
I'd like to thank you for working on the First Step Act that reversed that. That was big. That was real big. Anyway, I turned my life around right now. I have 6 children, and I worry about their future. Democrats are attacking our kids right now. What will you do to protect our children and their future?
Well, we're going to get your children jobs. We're going to make it possible for them to work. We're going to stop illegals from coming in, because your biggest threat are the illegals taking the jobs. We have threats as to security, too, because, again, so many of them come from prisons and jails, from mental institutions, and even insane asylums. That's a step above, that's many steps above mental institutions. And we're not going to allow this to happen. And the first community, and this is open knowledge, that's being affected, and affected very badly, is the black community, because they're taking your jobs. And we want people to come into our country, but they have to come in legally. They have to be vetted, and they have to come in legally. So I think that's the biggest single thing that we can do in terms of the future, because you see already what's happening, where your wages are down, it's going down, it's going to get very bad. I think it's going to get very bad. So we have to close up the border, we have to stop, and we want people to come in, but we want them to come in legally, and they have to come in through a legal process. It's so unfair to our country, but I think that's the biggest thing we can do.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
President.
you very much. Congratulations, too.
Mr. President, talking about children, we have somebody with us, Valerie Parker. Valerie has been fighting for the children here in Detroit. She runs after-school programs. She runs weekend programs. And when I met her off to the side, and the first words out of her mouth, I had a flashback to when I was a kid. I said, I knew a Valerie Parker when I was a young kid, and she straightened me out and had me being focused on what is necessary to be successful in life. But Valerie's with us, and I heard also she's a fan, like a big one.
Thank you, Valerie.
I'm going to say it because I don't want her to get in trouble. What she said to me backstage was that Melania is in trouble. She better watch out. That's what she told me. That's what she told me, I promise.
Don't forget, we're still in church. We're still in church now. We're still in church.
We're in church. I apologize, Pastor. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Valerie, tell us about your story. Tell us what you're doing here in Detroit, and then whatever question you have for President Trump.
Thank you, Mr. President, for coming to the hood. Thank you so much. I was born and raised in Detroit. Forced to be a Democrat and take their Section 8 and all that stuff, and you couldn't get no higher education, had me pop up all them babies to get some more checks. They didn't tell me I was stuck with the kids for 18 years. They didn't tell me that part. Oh, wow. You know, and so, but what my concern is right now, I'm doing an after-school program. My kids are in trouble, especially African-Americans, as you say. And when I go to these schools, I go to schools where the African-American girls don't even have doors on their bathrooms. But when I go to the immigrants who speak no English, right, they got the best food, the best bathroom, got people teach a second language right next to them. I went to school last week, and we was talking STEM. So I asked them, I said, how many immigrants? They raised their hand. Do you know the hour they kicked me out? I'm not allowed to ask immigrants. I'm a free citizen. What's up with that? I got a problem with that. I'm tired of these black Democrats stealing these black kids' money, talking about what you ain't doing. I know they stealing. I'm in Brightmoor, been over there since 2005, spending my own money. So this recently, I went to a Democrat who I've been knowing since I was 8 years old. He do barbershop. I said, can you give me a cup of how much you charge to get the kids $5 haircuts? He told me call Trump. So then I called Ann Clark. Ann Clark got on her business, Wayne County Community for Public. We doing June 22nd. They doing some stuff, and I'm here talking to you. So I'm gonna go tell him, I said, you told me to tell Trump, and I told Trump on you. Yeah, all you Democrats, y'all ain't doing right by these kids.
Thank you. Thank you. No wonder I see you on television so much and you do so well. But that's something. It is, you know, you mentioned Section 8, and I built Section 8 housing. I built quite a bit of it. And I did it initially with my father, and we were successful at it. But it was crazy because essentially there was no rent. You pay no rent. And people would come up to us and say, you know, I don't have to live for free, but if you could help me, it would be good. I say, the program is you pay nothing or you pay everything. There was nothing in between, right? And people were saying, I don't want to do that. I mean, I want to help. And they end up taking it. They lived literally for nothing. The problem was there was no money left out for anybody else. So people that wanted subsidized housing, they wanted housing to help their family and to live and everything else, they couldn't get the housing. The Section 8 program, it was a crazy program. People were saying, I want to pay something. And a lot of people came up to me. They said, because I knew it very well. I knew that program very well. And they wanted to pay something. They couldn't do it. You got it for almost nothing. But there was nothing left over for a lot of other people. It was a crazy program, actually. Really a crazy government program. Ben Carson would know that better than anybody because he had to live with it. But that's, your story is an amazing story, and thank you. Thank you, Valerie, very much. Appreciate it.
Now, Mr. President, we do have to go to the man of the house. This is his church. Pastor Sewell, the floor is yours. Please share whatever you would like to share because basically, tomorrow you're going to do that anyway. So, go ahead and share now.
President Trump, I'm so humbled that you would be here. President Obama never came to the hood, so to speak, right? President Joe Biden, he went to the big NAACP dinner, but he never came to the hood. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor.
Very humble.
Really nice. Thank you. My honor.
Our community is disenfranchised, we're marginalized, we're pushed aside. And there are two things that are happening with crime and employment. You're an entrepreneur. How do you see funding entrepreneurs, specifically keeping the black dollar in the black community? Let me explain. If I want to eat, I have to give my money to the Albanians at Coney Island. If you want to get gas, you need to go to the Chaldeans. If you want to have your hair look like mine, you got to go to Asians. And I thank God for Asians. My wife is right there. She's Asian. Our children are Blasian. So I give it up to my Asian brothers and sisters. but we don't keep the black dollar in the black community. You're an entrepreneur. What does it look like for black entrepreneurs to be able to get the resources they need so we don't look for a handout, but a hand up?
Yes.
And you know, and we talk about this, you have a lot of dollars in the black community and they don't keep it. I think one of the biggest problems that I see is the crime. They have to stop the crime. If they stop the crime, you're going to see more and more stores sprout. And we're losing them in other communities too, where there's crime. You see empty stores, you see them all over. They see big stores they moved in 10 years ago. They spent millions of dollars to build it and now they're leaving. And these are not necessarily black communities. In many cases, they're not at all. But where there's crime, there's empty stores, and you don't keep the money. So I think the biggest thing we can do is stop the crime. We're going to stop the crime. We have to let people feel free and be able to walk outside and not even think about being mugged or hit or shot or anything. And you know, one of the examples, I see the love in this church. It's incredible what you've done. You've done an incredible job. I would like to ask if you could final out with a prayer. Is that okay? I don't want to get you by surprise here because this was not, but I've heard so much about you and so many great things, and it's such an honor to be here. It's such an incredible honor, and with so many